Hi guys, it's Holly here and welcome to the Strong Women podcast. The aim of this podcast is to interview strong women from all walks of life and take key learnings from their personal experiences. Now, by saying strong, I don't exclusively mean strong physically. I'll be talking to women who are strong mentally, emotionally, or simply women who have overcome odds throughout their lives. The key themes in each episode will be around fitness, mental health, and business. I truly hope their stories inspire you and encourage you, and equally I hope you can take away valuable pieces of advice to practice in your own lives. Today's guest is Becky Young, founder of the Anti Diet Riot Club. The Anti Diet Riot Club hosts events and meetups in London and the UK that connect people struggling with diet cycling, poor body image, and disordered eating. Their aim is to spread the message of body acceptance, radical self-love, and fat positivity. Becky is very open about her personal experiences of body acceptance, and I think this really helps her to relate to the community she's built. Body positivity has had somewhat of a boom recently, but its roots can easily get confused or diluted. In this podcast, we discuss what and who body positivity is really for and how we can all support the movement no matter our size. Becky is absolutely amazing. I instantly loved her, and she's passionate without being aggressive. She's changing people's perspectives using positivity, not negativity. I really hope you enjoy the podcast, and please do share it with loved ones you feel may need to hear her message. Let's spread the love. Hi Becky, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Good, thank you for being on the podcast.
You're very welcome.
So right now, guys, we're sat in a studio, basically underground, at Sweaty Betty post. I've just been teaching, and Becky has come in from, where do you live?
Peckham.
Nice.
Yeah, so not too far.
So hopefully there won't be too much background noise, and hopefully no one will interrupt us. So I'm going to start with quick fire round. Okay, so no pressure. So we're going to go, what is your favourite book and why?
Ooh, God.
I warned you, didn't I?
My favourite book and why. I don't know if I could choose a favourite book, but I think the one that I've really loved recently is called 1,000 Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. It's by an author called David Mitchell. And I'm a really big fan of like historical literature and very long, winding, complicated narratives, and it was just like so beautifully written. And I do read a lot of I don't know if you'd call them self-development books or books about body acceptance, books about feminism, and it's so nice to just like escape with a good literature book. So that's one of my favourites at the moment.
You've got like your workbooks, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then your just for you books.
Yeah, and that one just was like totally absorbing. It's huge, and like I could read it over and over again.
Perfect.
It's great.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Everything comes to an end. I don't know, my stepdad said it to me once, and it just made me realise that good times, bad times, they're all transient, and like you to accept that is really helpful when you're going through something really tough.
That's nice. I've never heard that one before, actually. Yeah, that is true, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is your morning routine, or do you have a morning routine?
I do try. I think like having a ritual routine is a great way to wake up, but I'm very inconsistent generally in every part of my life. So I do try and wake up and not touch social media for the first like hour or my emails or anything, and try and either do like journaling or like a headspace 10-minute meditation, or like writing a list of what I need to do that day, and shower, wash my face, like do some nice routine with my hair and face. I've got curly hair, so it takes a lot of...
It's so lovely.
Takes a lot of...
I wish mine looked like that. Mine's like frizz.
It's a total work in progress always, and every morning it's like, oh, what to do today? So yeah, that's kind of part of it. And I just try and stay clear of like screens generally. that would be my routine.
I've been loving journaling recently.
Yeah.
Like, I've only just gotten into it, and it makes so much sense. So if anyone's listening who maybe doesn't know what it is, or I might be doing it different to everyone else, but I'll do my 10-15 minutes of headspace, put that away, and then just sit down and literally for 2 minutes write anything that comes into my head. And actually, if you read it back, it's complete nonsense. Like, your thoughts go from one thing to the other. But I feel like once it's out my head and on paper, it's gone. Rather than thinking those same thoughts all day, like, oh, I must remember to do this, and then, oh, I was really upset about this the other day. Like, you literally just spout it onto paper and then it's gone.
Yeah, every time I do it, it's a different format. Sometimes it's like a gratitude list, sometimes it's like what I felt the night before, or what I would like planning to do the day. Sometimes it's like a poem, sometimes it's just like sentences and colour and words. So it always changes.
It's just whatever you're feeling like writing down. Yeah, I really recommend it.
Really interesting when you look back on it, and even do like some really dark times or really happy times. It's always like, I don't know, I feel proud of myself for having like always achieved lots of things, even when times have been difficult. And I only remember that I've done them when I'm like written about them. I'm like, oh yeah, good on me.
Yeah, a gratitude journal's lovely.
Yeah.
Especially, I think if you do it before bed, you know, it doesn't matter how shit your day's been. Finding even so, when I had really bad depression, I used to do, and I remember thinking it was extreme. I would do 50 things.
50, wow.
And by having to do so many, you have to really search for the smallest things, and it might be like, you know, that someone smiled at you on the tube, and actually, rather than the big ones, like someone, you know, gave you a pay rise at work, it's the really small ones that actually make you're then the following day you're having to remember when someone does something tiny, because you're like, I need 50 things to write tonight. So like even the smallest thing is going on that list. And but yeah, you could do 10 things, you could do 50, but I find them really helpful.
Finding joy in the mundane things. Yeah, that's what it teaches you.
Like, I could afford my favourite coffee this morning.
Yeah. But those things need to be appreciated. And it's very easy to go through life completely not even noticing that they're a thing worth valuing. Yeah. That you can afford to buy a coffee.
Which is huge.
Which is actually like a situation that, like, you know, my family members have been and they haven't been able to, like, at all. So it's worth being appreciative of that.
Especially in Parsons Green, where coffee's like £4.
Yeah, I know.
That's huge. That's like my whole day's food allowance. Yeah. So what does happiness look like to you?
Oh, interesting question. I think happiness is a process. It's not linear. It's a journey. It's about knowing that things might come to an end, that they're not going to last forever, and that there is joy and gratitude to be had in these small things. So that's kind of like my philosophy of happiness. But what it looks like in practice, I guess, is like sweaty dancing with my friends, festivals, music, glitter, family, food, and cuddle puddles.
What's the cuddle puddle?
It's like when everyone piles on top of each other and just hugs.
Oh, lush. And then the last one, what does strong look like to you?
Ooh, strong for me doesn't have a look. I think strong is in character and in your kindness, in your generosity, in your resilience. And strong can come in so many shapes and sizes.
Yeah. Lovely. So for anyone who doesn't know who you are, tell us in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
Well, so I'm Becky, and I am the founder of Anti Diet Riot Club, which is a bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is.
And we are, well, actually I am, because I run the whole thing myself, with some friends that help out, but it's a event series and social enterprise and community that is all about promoting body acceptance, health at every size, the, you know, intuitive eating practices, and fighting back against diet culture. So I set it up, actually only launched it in January.
You've done so much.
Yeah,
so
I've done a lot since then. It really has been such a whirlwind. I came up with the idea at the end of last year, and I basically wanted to make a safe space to learn and talk about anti-diet culture, anti-diet sort of practices, and how to be more body positive. And I think at the time when I came up with the idea, I hadn't like been exposed to loads of events about the subject. I just really existed online and met people through Instagram and on blogs, and had found about this amazing community on those spaces. And so I was like, I really want to meet people who are involved in it. I want to bring people together. I've been running events since I was at uni in Oxford, actually, and I just feel like it's a natural calling of mine to try and bring people together, like-minded people. And so it just felt really like this is definitely something I want to do. I'm going to try and put on a speaker event, and I got Megan Crabb, Body Positive Panda, to come and speak, and it was amazing. It was such an awesome first event. It's like 100 people there, and really raw and honest and vulnerable, and everyone was sharing at the end and asking questions, and we did activities, and obviously Megan and I both spoke, and so it's just kind of started from there. So since then I have been hosting loads of different types of events in London, as well as workshops and talks at festivals all around the summer, which has been amazing. And the plan is to have much more regular events, like speaker events in London, and also potentially bigger, maybe 2-day events, and hopefully just keep teaming up and collaborating with loads of really awesome people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like to have Megan as like your first speaker as well.
Well, I think she's got this huge following, but she's actually just like an incredibly down-to-earth, supportive, like unbelievably kind person. So when I got in touch, she was one of the big first people that not the first, but definitely one of the early people that I started following, and that changed my perspective on my body and on body image and what was healthy and everything tied up with mental health.
Yeah.
And I just got in touch, was like, I had this idea and I'd really love you to be involved because you were so integral for me. And she was just like, I would love to support you. This sounds amazing. Like, do this. And I think that's rare. Some people might, if big followings, they might not want to support the little people. And some people might, want to be paid loads of money. And she's just not like that. Megan's a really... that personality that you see is how she is, I think.
And I guess because she's not doing it to boost her platform, she's doing it because she has a real passion and a real message, and she will do everything she can to spread that message. So, of course.
It's not just for she's not doing it for her own personal gain. And I think that's like the key thing that we need to remember in these kind of communities, that we need to, the more the merrier. The bigger the pie, we need to be getting the message out to as many people as possible who really need it. So, it was really great.
So to anyone listening who maybe, I feel like everybody has heard of Body Positive Panda and you. And to anyone who doesn't know what this movement is, can you explain what body positivity is? Because it's very easy for people to misunderstand it, and maybe the wrong type of people use it.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Undoubtedly. So body positivity is a term that was really used as a kind of hashtag in fat activist circles, which has a long sort of history from 1960s, 1970s feminist literature and writing. And I think it blew up in the last 10 years. It got bigger, at least. Started getting with Instagram and blogging, and often it was fat black women in the States who really propagated it, and then small communities in the UK and Australia, and then that's how it kind of gained popularity and it started getting a lot more popular, and it's really about letting fat people celebrate, love and value their bodies unapologetically and without shame and without the pressure to change their bodies for any health purposes or for any purposes that aren't their own reasons for doing so. And I think why it's been so amazing is because people have lived their whole lives thinking that their bodies are, worthy of shame and are embarrassing or disgusting or that need to be changed. And then they see these people using these terms like body positivity, body acceptance, fat positivity, and saying you are like just as you are without changing. You're worthy of love and respect. You're worthy of being able to find fashionable clothes in your size. You're worthy of being represented by the media. You are a worthy and deserving human being, even if you're fat, no matter what you look like, no matter what size, no matter what shape, no matter how many rolls or what cellulite or what scars or whatever you have. And so it was really about like celebrating, amplifying these sort of marginalised bodies. And I think it's been very useful and effective for people who aren't fat either, who have much smaller bodies, or who just for people who have needed that message and it's changed them. And I think that's really important. But I think what's happened in the past couple of years is got so popular that it has started to be co-opted and taken by brands or by people in the Fitspo world, and people who are really pushing a kind of very, very very restricted range of what a healthy body or what a good body or what a beautiful body looks like, and using it and saying I'm body positive too, which is fine, but that space, that word, that term was for much more marginalised bodies to go and look at and to feel accepted. And often now you search the term and you just feel like, oh God, it's just all these people promoting their fitness page or their new diet plan or their lifestyle change plan, but it's still got this like our way of leading a life, our way of looking is better than what you do and how you look in your life. So I think it's maybe I'm really, really pleased that body acceptance and body positivity has become more part of like the discussion or the vernacular or the public discourse, but I think the real motives behind it has been lost in a lot of ways.
I think the difficulty is that, when you see the hashtag body positivity, you're like, oh, nice. It's about like being really positive about your body, and actually, it's not quite as simple as that. Like there is a whole history behind it, and there's a group of people that it was designed for, and therefore it shouldn't be spread necessarily to everybody because those people have already got their own stuff.
It's kind of like when people whinge about like female-only spaces or females like. Safe spaces for women, and it's like, but what about for men? And it's kind of it's a similar you can kind of compare these two arguments. Well, a lot of the spaces that exist in the society are already very safe for you, and that's kind of how it is for body positivity argument. The rest of the world is so diet focused, it's so valuing of small bodies, of skinny bodies, of these like what's considered beautiful people, and they have so much privilege in society outside of them. And this is about creating a space for people who don't have that. But I think, I guess it wasn't the word wasn't like a PR move to like design it for a certain community. It just like it evolved into this term, and
now we're now to be bastardized.
But I think that kind of happens all the time, isn't it? Like brands always take things and try and make money from it. It's kind of like how society moves. And I think people are just at least people are talking about it and saying, maybe that's body acceptance, that's body love, fat positivity, fat activism, body positivity. That's like something we want to keep radical, and we want it to be for these people. But not everyone's going to listen, but at least people are having the conversation. And I think, you just try and use the term body positive or body positivity with respect for what it really means, and not just for like, we're body positive because we love ourselves. And it's probably quite easy for some people to love yourself. Even though it's not, because society still tells you that there's so many things wrong about you and that you should change. Like in comparison to if you were living in a much bigger body, like it is easier for you.
And you can support the movement, but you will never necessarily understand what it feels like in a bigger body to feel sort of so marginalised.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like even though I have a lot of size privilege, I guess, and I think I do always want to respect that and bring that into the conversation and make sure I'm amplifying the voices of fat people who are doing much more radical act by loving themselves.
So why do you think it's grown so much recently?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it really has. I guess for me, Megan has sort of brought it to the mainstream, but obviously it's always been bubbling away in the background. But why now? Like, why are we suddenly saying enough is enough?
Yeah. I guess people are exhausted. There's that mentality, right? Enough is enough. Obviously, social media's helped. Like Instagram just made it blow up in the way that that's quite visual and is really like supportive of like activist movements. You know, which is cool for like a massive corporation that it can actually have these like pockets of like activism in them. I think people have been absolutely like shoved all this contradictory information in the papers, on TV, from their parents, from everyone, you know, all these very ranging contradictory pieces of advice on how to be healthy, how to look, how to be fit. And I think it's reached the point of like what is the truth? What are we supposed to be doing? Like, a lot of people around in between 25 and 35, I feel like that's quite a common age range for people to just be like, I've actually just been doing this like the past 10, 15 years. If it does change, it maybe reverts back to how I was before. I still feel shit about myself. Like, am I going to be feeling like this way for the rest of my life? Like, is this it? And I think some people succumb to that and just accept that they're always going to hate their bodies. And some people are like, no, surely there is a different way. And they see it the different way. And it's just been quite zeitgeisty, I think. And I think it's amazing that more and more people are just being like, it's like a switch. Like, there are a lot of people who've spoken to me or messaged me or who I've spoken to have said like it was a very quick switch for me. Maybe it's not across the board, and I know that isn't, because I know a lot of people still struggle. But that little one image they see, or one like maybe see it being exposed to it for a couple of months, and then they're suddenly like, right, that is how I want to live my life, and I don't want to be punishing myself, hating myself, trying to shrink myself. And they're always still going to struggle day to day, I'm sure, but it seems to have really spoken to a lot of people, which is great. And
it's lovely because when I look at social media, often all I can see are the negatives, and I guess that Instagram finally meant that women who are not shown in the media, before that, they were only being shown the same type of women all the time. And if you don't look that way, you think you're the only one. Yeah. Whereas now, Instagram is giving us access and making us realise, actually, the women that are shown in the media are actually, they're the small minority.
Yeah, that's true.
And the rest of us actually look all different ways. Yeah. So it finally, you start seeing women who look more like you, and you're like, actually, I'm normal. Yeah. And it's the women in the magazines that actually are slightly abnormal, not necessarily in a bad way, but they're the minority.
Well, most of them would even... it is kind of abnormal because they've got amazing lighting on them, airbrushing, they've got like a whole team of makeup artists. And you're just not walking around like that. Like, in real life, we don't have this like studio lighting and like an incredible photographer, and you've got a posed angle. One of the most amazing things that you can realise is that you don't know what you really look like, because you just can't see yourself from all the different angles. Like, when you capture you open your phone, it's accidentally on selfie mode, and that's the page you put. It's like oh god, because you only pose in photos and like in the mirror, like the mirror face, and actually like you have this whole range of different looks because you can never see them from every angle. Yeah, and I think photos are such a point of insecurity for a lot of people who don't like their bodies, and it was for me as well. And when just delete, untag, rip up photos because you hate them that much. They have the real power because they capture something that maybe you if you're not ready, if you're not posed and you're not prepared, you're not used to seeing that angle of yourself, and especially when it's captured still, it doesn't have that human flowing that's just one part of you, and you're like humanity, and so you just cap this one frozen moment, and it can be really shocking. But what Instagram has done is kind of, people are now more and more it's still very much highlight really, but there is a whole community of people out who are putting out, photos of themselves in terrible angles and just, unairbrushed, and it's having a knock-on effect because you get to see the more and more raw side of people's lives. I'm a big fan of when people are posting this kind of more vulnerable and unposed, the reality of it, because if we're going to be on social media, then we can't just be seeing the best parts of everyone's life. We need to see the other parts as well. Yeah,
because the reality genuinely is, so about, I would say maybe 6 years ago, so in the first few years of working in fitness, I was asked to be part of an advert. It was for deodorant, which is like one step up from tampons. And, so it was, and I remember I used to absolutely fucking hate having my photos taken. Yeah. So I agreed because I needed the money. And so I turned up for it, and first of all, they were kind of like, so what do you normally wear makeup-wise? And I was like, well, I work in fitness, so I pretty much draw my eyebrows on, do my mascara, that's it. Yeah. And so I was like, if I could just have something really natural, and they were like, we'll make you look like, you're exercising. And honest to God, it took them 2 hours to do my makeup. And when you're like, how shit did I look when I turned up? But this has taken me 2 hours. And I went to the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, and I honestly, they always say to you, oh, you'll look different on camera. Like, if you don't put any foundation on, you'll look really washed out. But you literally look like a clown. Yeah. You're so thick in makeup, but the foundation's very, very orange. Okay. And it doesn't, they're right, it doesn't look like that on camera.
Because they get the bright lights.
Yeah, but it made me realise, I know we say photos and magazines have been airdropped. Airdropped.
Airbrush
and
photoshopped
and they're photoshopped, and that they're wearing loads of makeup, but the reality is that it's a silly amount of makeup. You actually don't look like a human anymore. And so the reality is ridiculous. And actually it's that's why when you see yourself in a photo and you're like, I look weird.
It's not going to be like the models that you see in magazines. They don't even look like that. They look in magazines and go, that doesn't even look like good. And so we're just not seeing reality at all. We're totally warped. Our idea of what is normal beauty is totally warped. I watched Love Island. So, and after, I don't know how long was it on for? 8 weeks or 12 weeks? I can't remember. Felt like forever. And yet no time at all. And afterwards, I had a different sense of what beautiful was. So I looked in the mirror and I was like, nose is too thick. I wasn't like I was wanting to change it really, but I could see and I could always sense in my own brain that I had a now different sense of beauty, and it's now gone back. I'm not watching it because of what I was exposing to myself, or I was exposing to myself. What I was exposed to for every night or 6 days a week for so long had changed what I thought was beautiful, and that I didn't fit that standard. It was really interesting to notice because it's all going on in your subconscious and you have no idea that it's happening, and that you're taking, you're absorbing all of these idealized women, and what beautiful looks like, what face shape, what nose shape, what level of makeup, what hairstyle is beautiful. And then to come away from it at the end and be like, wow, that really did influence me.
And that's someone like you who understands the danger of it and is aware that's happening. And it's actually a really interesting conversation because as much as I hate the fact we're talking about Love Island right now, but so I remember seeing some statistics afterwards. I actually think ITV might have done the survey, and it was about how many girls watching it then felt less about themselves, or how many considered plastic surgery, which is worrying. And ITV were really naughty. They put in a plastic surgery advert on. Yeah. Then last weekend, I was up in Yorkshire with my mum, and my mum would be the first person to admit that her whole life she's never loved her body, which is one of the reasons why I'm the opposite. And it was really interesting. She was saying that watching Love Island actually made her feel the opposite. She watched it and she saw all these beautiful people, and it made her realise how it doesn't matter how to the general public how beautiful you are. I mean, we can all argue over whether they're beautiful or not. No matter how beautiful they were, they all hated their bodies, and they all felt like if someone was more attractive than them, and they'd all had loads of work done, but they still weren't happy with their bodies. She said she actually found it really empowering watching it and being like, you know what, it doesn't matter, even if you're stunning like them, you'll never be happy.
No, it's so true. I think it's like twofold, isn't it? And you also realise that, you know, that a lot of them were very beautiful before they spent the 2 hours putting on all their makeup, and that like they still got really hurt, they were still insecure, they still let men treat them like shit, and so it can make you kind of open your eyes to what, like, I do quite like Love Island. I just don't like it. I think it's like got so many bad points, but I wish it did have more diverse people and bodies on there, but you know, that's kind of it's to be expected. Maybe next year, because there was a big hoorah about it, wasn't there? But yeah, it does show you, like, you know, people getting hurt, and that's what happens in real life, and people who are stunning and have amazing bodies, and that they still go through all of that.
Yeah, but that is like Love Island, I guess, is a prime example of a melting pot of what society sees as beautiful, and how awful that actually they all look pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Like there was,
very, very little variety of the human body.
So going back then, where has this come from with you? So like, tell us about, so you went to university in Oxford.
I did, yes.
Oxford's lovely.
Yeah, it is lovely there. But I think I had actually, my relationship with my body was really up and down at uni, because I was obviously like, it's awful now to think about it. I went travelling before. I had the best time. I did 7 months travelling on my own for my gap year, and it was amazing. And I just had the best time. It totally changed my life. But I put on loads of weight because I was
happy.
Yeah, and I was drinking a lot, eating lots of great food, and like, you know, in Australia and stuff. At the end, they're not got the best like cheap food that you can buy out there. It was different to like when I was in Asia and drinking loads of beer. And then I came back and I was so unhappy. And then I went on Lighter Life. It was awful, and I totally destroyed my body and just starved it. And then I went to uni, and obviously there you're just out with friends and, you know, like terrible student diet and everything. And so throughout uni I was like yo-yo dieting really extremely, and then looking back on it now, I didn't really notice at the time because I just thought it was completely normal to do that to myself. But looking back, like I was had a really disordered relationship with myself. But it started long before that. I was probably 14 when I went on my first diet, and I just always thought I was too big for my friends, compared to my friends, too big for the world. I wasn't even big, but I thought I was, because I didn't look like all the, you know, pop stars and people in the magazines. And I have a bone disease in my leg. It's called Fibrous Dysplasia. So I can't like run, I can't do lots of high impact sports, and it stopped me from taking part in like team sports after the age of like sort of maybe like 15. I kind of stopped because I could still like do some like netball or a little bit if I was just by the goal, but I couldn't run really. And I had to stop sort of dancing, and it just meant that I would overwork. So I'd try and like lose weight and go to the gym or like do this exercise and injure myself often, and then not be able to do anything for a while. And I just was not treating my body very well at all, because I thought I was trying to look after my body by doing all these extreme diets, all these meal plans, these weighing food, and all this over-exercising. But it was totally from a place of self-hatred and self-loathing, so it wouldn't be sustainable, it wouldn't last. And it would often result in me being injured or losing loads of weight and then putting those back on. And so it was not really any form of caring for myself.
Yeah.
And I think that went on for about 10 years. 10, 12 years. And there were loads of like moments in that where I wasn't doing that. But it would always reach a stage after about 6 to 9 months where I was like, right, I failed again. Like I need to get back on it, do this thing. This start on Monday kind of thing. Yeah. Sometimes it'd be every week I'd be starting a new one. But yeah, and I got to the point where I just started traveling again, and I was in Mexico and I realised that I saw a photo of myself again, the photo, shock moment of like, oh my God, I was so much skinnier a year ago. I failed. What have I done? I haven't stuck to it once again. I failed this like wonderful opportunity to be thin. And I was like, right, I'm not gonna eat any of this beautiful food around me, not gonna drink, not gonna enjoy myself at all, basically. I'm just gonna be working out and not eating. And that's when I sort of found the body acceptance movement online, and it just completely changed the way that I thought about it. I was like, wow, I don't need to be doing this. I'm not the type of person. Like, I'm not the type of person that analyzes menus at a restaurant. I love food. I love going out. I want to enjoy. I'm in Mexico. I want to like enjoy the like amazing food and cuisine that they have out here. Like, I'm not that person. No. Like, and it's never worked for me. I've always like, even if I have lost weight, I've always gained it back. And why is that? And started learning about what diets actually do to your body and to your metabolism, and like why your body's actually built not to lose weight, and how started to realise how I thought about food and how I thought about myself, and when all the times I made myself be sick or not eating a meal, and what that was doing to me and what that was doing to my ability to like not binge and like not be uncontrollable around food. And started to just look into what was actually going on in the diet industry in the world. And you know, I've always been quite a political person, and I'd read a lot of fat activist books when I was at uni. I did a thesis on feminist presentation, like feminist movements and how they presented themselves, and I read like fat as a feminist issue, and so sort of a lot of that knowledge was there, but I'd never thought to apply it to my own life. I just thought like, oh yeah, that's great, but obviously I need to lose weight. Like, obviously I need to diet. Like, I need to be skinnier. Yeah, that's just a given. And when I saw it as not a given, it was like that life changing. It's like, oh, this is not actually what I have to do to be like valuable in society. Great.
Two things stand out from what you said as well. I was like, firstly, all the times that you were your happiest may have also been the times where you were at your biggest, because and so skinniness does not equal happiness, because actually like you were having an epic time traveling, and you might not have been in the smallest body you've ever had. But also I think one thing that we hear so often is because of fat shaming and fat phobia, potentially from, not intentionally, but from the medical kind of side of things, what it causes is it causes women to aim for weight loss, no matter what the risks. So even though the methods being used to lose that weight are far worse than any potential risk of being considered overweight, like we would choose that. You know, and the methods that people are using are terrifying, but they genuinely believe that it's for their own health, because we are told if you're fat, you're going to die. And actually, like, that's really not been very helpful at all.
And I think it's also that your treatment by the rest of your peers and society. I was like awfully not enjoying every second of every day when I was on these extreme diets, not being able to go out, and not like being fucking starving, and like hating what I was eating, and not even like I was visualizing this like future self of you that was skinny, not focus on your inner being or your what your work was or what your relationships were like at all, just only obsessed by this like idea of yourself skinnier in the future. And I can't remember what I was going to say.
It's so debilitating. Like, we've talked about this on another podcast here, where it's like, I will wear, when I'm skinny, I can buy that dress. Or like, oh, I can't wait till I'm skinny and I can wear shorts again. And actually, like, what about now? Like, what are you supposed to do in that interim? Because that might never happen. You might get to that point but still not want to wear shorts. Like, it's so sad that you then... That might take, even if it did work, which we know diets don't fucking work, let's say that takes 6 months. So what a waste of your 6 months. And there is always someone who would kill to have your body, like, or to be able to go for a run or to be able to go out clubbing with their friends, and you're wasting that life by being miserable, not going out for dinner because you're scared, checking the menu ahead of time and choosing like the lowest calorie item, when there's people who would absolutely love to be able to go out and have dinner with people.
I know, it's so true.
It's really sad.
I think like I did it even though I knew I was deeply unhappy and not enjoying every second. I did it for these little moments where people would say, oh, you look great, you've lost weight. I mean, I think that's literally why I did it, because I was hating it all, but that feeling of gratification, that like feeling valued, that being like, it was like reaffirmed by everyone else that like you were doing the right thing, even though like you were literally being awful to yourself and to your body.
And that's a really good point. Like how many times completely like not intent with the best will in the world have we said to people like, oh my God, you look great, like have you lost weight? And that's actually probably one of the worst things that you can say.
I hate when I hear people say that now. I never say it myself anymore. I do not mention anyone's weight, but and I like my mum probably won't listen to this, but like she's the worst for it. Sorry, mum. But like she does say it a lot, and actually loads of my friends do. It's like it's incrementally I'm trying to like get them not to mention people's weight but I can't control what people say. And obviously it's a message that I put out a lot on my social media and my content, but that I can't change what everyone says around me. And you know, when people do, I'm just like, it's not the most important thing. Like
it's seen as like the ultimate compliment.
It is,
someone, and actually, like, you know, a much nicer compliment would be like, you're awesome, or like, you seem really happy at the moment, or you're nailing it at work. Like anything other than you're looking really slim.
And I don't know if I'm really sensitive to it because of what I've been through and like what I work as now. And I probably am, but I know that it just reaffirms that being skinny is good, and that it reaffirms to me that having fat is bad. But it's such like a standard thing to comment on. Like we were talking about my friend the other day, and she's like abroad, she's like having this great career, she's found a boyfriend, she's not going to come back to London anymore. It's like she's lost so much weight, and I was like, all those amazing things we just talked about, and now we're just like putting it down to this. And like when I saw her, I was a little bit worried, if anything. So I was like, so I guess for me, losing weight has always been made like restriction and unhealth, depression, and feeling shit about myself. And like, I think that's not always the case. Some people like, you know, do lose weight naturally and have like just being more active, or like, you know, maybe they were eating because they were unhappy before and things like that. So it can be both ways, but because I associate it with like being like really controlling and obsessive, I was like, oh, I hope she's not like that, basically. I just really hope that she wasn't, and maybe she's not.
I think to be honest, it is more common that weight loss has been caused by illness, mental health, or deliberate restriction than just naturally losing loads of weight, because like we've mentioned earlier on, we do all have like a base level, and for it to deviate massively, something is probably not right. And that is why underlying that, diets don't work.
I think some people, for instance, have like that set point, and they might go back down to it after a period of like loads of drinking, or like, you know, or a changed lifestyle of some sort. But if it's being maintained through like obsessive exercise and like restrictive food, then you know it's not what you're supposed to be at. But yeah, I think it's hard. You can't make a judgment about what someone else's lifestyle is, or what their health is, or you know what they're going through just by their weight. But yeah, I would just encourage people not to comment on it, because it just, you don't know what the effect has on them. You don't know what the effect has on people around you when you're talking about it. The effect on yourself is you're internalizing that fear of fat and that valuing of skinniness, of thinness. So it's just something we all need to get out of.
I like it. Just stop altogether. Any other compliment but that one. So going back to Anti Diet Riot Club, talk us through like what do you do then? What do you do at these festivals? And how do you get your message across?
Well, at the festivals, I teamed up with she's now a friend. She's a body acceptance coach called Harry Rose, and we came up with these workshop ideas together. So we did they're kind of like fun, creative ways to get people to engage with their body image in different ways and other people's bodies in different ways to try and encourage mindset shifts. So they're not so serious. They're boob printing and life drawing. And there were also some other talks and things and we did gratitude parties, but basically it was those 2 workshops that were the most popular. So with the boob printing, it's like a female or people with boobs only space, and we paint them, do a little guided meditation feel, we paint them and then we print them like hand printing but with boobs, and it's really fun, and the results are really great. People often keep them. Someone got married and gave a framed version to her husband on the wedding day,
I love
which
that.
is amazing. The life drawing it came from the studies that have been done in the UK, actually, that showed that regular attendance to life drawing had a really positive correlation on positive body image. And especially if women were seeing female models and men were seeing male models, which I thought was really interesting. And I've always loved going to life drawing classes, seeing different bodies, drawing them, appreciating them for art, not in any other capacity, but just seeing how beautiful the human form is. And so I wanted to throw a class in London, which we did, and then we came up with the idea that people could at festivals do it and volunteer to model as well, so it would be sort of empowering on both sides. So you could draw and you could also step up and model if you wanted for like 5 to 10 minutes, clothed or not clothed. Often people strip down to like underwear or something like that, but I modelled for the first time as well. It was really, really empowering. So I'd encourage anyone to go to a life drawing class and try modelling if they're up for it, because it's really amazing to just be seen and not judged. Naked.
I remember doing it at school, and I remember we had an older lady who had saggy boobs, which was great. And actually, when you're drawing, like, you want some interest. Like you want to see light and shade and it's different bodies, and
really
it makes
hard to draw very slender bodies, because there's less shading, less shading, less rolls, less
interest.
I think so. I mean, I still think they're really sometimes really beautiful to draw, but it's harder. It's really definitely harder without like bumps and grooves, basically, because then you have to find like the beautiful shape, but still with like less lines. And so that's been amazing, and people have responded really well. Often it's people are at these festivals and they're not there to come to an Anti Diet Riot Club event, but they're just intrigued by what it might be, and they come and they're like, wow, I hate my boobs. I literally would never want anyone to see them, and I just got them out with a group of 15 lovely women, painted them and printed them, and now I'm really proud of them. And a woman came who'd had a mastectomy. She hadn't got her boobs out in 5 years since she'd had them done. And she absolutely loved it. We've had people model for the life drawing. They cried afterwards. She was like, I hate my body. I can't believe I just did that. I have always hated my body, and now I just sat there in front of people, and the drawings were incredible, and it was just really emotional. So it's been awesome.
And these will be people who feel uncomfortable getting naked in front of their husbands or partners. So to do that in front of all those people, but it just shows that it's a safe space, and that you're all there for the same reason, and no one's going to judge and like giggle and be like, oh, look
exactly.
at her.
Totally judgment free, shame free. Like there's so many different types of boobs, so many different types of bodies, because they're all so different. I mean, I think it's for me, the important thing is not just to be getting naked all the time, but it's because we're closed and we don't see a lot of people's bodies, and the ones we do in underwear campaigns or that we do see on the TV are very restricted form, variety of them. We genuinely don't know what's out there, and so I think getting it out in a safe space, being like, wow, everyone's so different, and like everyone's insecure in their own way, but there's no need to be. Whether your boobs are saggy or different shapes, sizes, whether big nipples, small nipples, it's like there's just so many different types. Like, who knew?
There's no good or bad. And I think because I've grown up like getting changed in gym changing rooms, and also I see, oh my God, like hundreds of women's bodies every single week. I feel, like often women will come to the studio and they'll say, like, I hate this or I hate that. And I'll be like, but someone would absolutely love to have your legs and actually your boobs look no different to me than somebody else's, and I think that's it. We're only seeing images of beautiful women, and we all just need to start seeing other women naked to realise like she's also got stretch marks on her bum, or like, you know, she's also got like a prickly bikini line because she's got 2 kids and she's busy, or she's got a job to do. But that's not what we're seeing. So nakedness is fun. Like, keep going with the nakedness.
I think there was a study out that was talking about like the naked bike ride, and it was saying like how not hanging around with you, like being naked in front of your friends in a non-sexual way, so good for your body image, for like the way you relate to other people, yours and other people's bodies, and I'm a big fan of it as well. To see like everyone's got dangly bits and everyone's got like saggy bits and tight bits and hairy bits. They're all actually really similar. It's so funny and so different at the same time, which is beautiful. You can sort of bond over your mutual perceived flaws, because we actually all have them. No one's perfect. So then what's the future with the Anti Diet Riot Club? I think I would like to come up with a way that I could do these regular meetings in other places outside of London, because I kind of want them to be like an antidote to Weight Watchers, Slimming World, Lighter Life, all these horrible... They were actually really supportive spaces. Like it was really cathartic to talk with other people struggling with their bodies, but they were always congratulating weight loss and shaming weight gain, or, you know, it was all like, you can all do better next week, and you just felt guilty and so pressured and so such like a failure if you weren't losing those pounds. And the Anti Diet Riot Club events are the complete opposite to that. There's no diet chat, and it's totally about what you feel and, like, you know, your mental health and how important that is. And we still bond, because a lot of people there have been diet cycling or have had eating disorders or have struggle with fat phobia in society. And I think so you have that mutual bond still, and you can talk openly and share stories and tips and ideas, but like nothing to do with losing weight. So I would love it to be not just events in London, but to be able to sort of take them up to other cities in the UK. I think also I've got my next event is in October, and that's going to be a sort of self-care workshop, because I just want to really push what I was saying earlier, that dieting isn't a form of self-care, and that actually it can often make you do things that are bad for your health, and not put your health and your mental well-being first. So that's going to be at the end of October at the book club, but in Shoreditch. And then in January, because I see January, February as like national diet months, you know, and it's when I first sort of launched the idea. The plan is a pop-up space, so a weekend of Anti Diet Riot Club workshops and events and activities. So it's exciting. Lots of things planned for the future. It's amazing. You've already done so much, but I see it going so much further. And it's so nice to see somebody doing well who isn't trying to push diet culture. So well, because I think in the wellness industry, because I do see what I do as fitting within that, because I do think it is about people's well-being. I see it as a different... My version of well-being looks different, and feels different, I think, to maybe a lot of what people promote in wellness. And I think they're often people who do really well, who are really successful, still prescribe to those philosophies, look a certain way. I think you're great in championing people who are doing different stuff as well, and who, you know, might not fit that like skinny white girl eating salad picture. And I think that it is changing. But it's great when people are doing something a bit different. And hopefully getting people on board with them as well. because it's a massive industry making so much money, and it's just, I think, still propagating some really shitty ideals.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, Becky, honestly, it's been so good to have you on the podcast. If anybody wants to follow you, what's your handle on Instagram?
Anti Diet Riot Club on Instagram and on Facebook, and on Twitter we're just Anti Diet Riot because couldn't fit in the club.
Damn Twitter.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we'll leave in the show notes all the other ways that you can get hold of Becky. And do you have a link to an events page?
Yeah, so if you, on my Instagram, there's my mailing list, which would probably be the best thing to sign up to, because every time I launch an event, it goes out to them.
Great, perfect. And if you have listened to this and enjoyed it, please do share to help spread Becky's message. Or if you have a family member or a friend where you felt like this resonated, please do share that with them. And if you have any comments, as always, please leave us a review on iTunes to help spread the message. So thanks again, Becky.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong Women podcast. If you have any feedback on today's topic or your own advice, please do let us know on social media or leave us a review on iTunes or SoundCloud. Did you know we also have an online plan that incorporates all the elements I believe create a strong, healthy, happy body? The Model Method Online is an 8-week holistic fitness plan incorporating mental health and nutrition support. Born from a frustration that all online plans are weight loss or aesthetic based, our online plan aims to improve the relationship that you have with your body. Go and try it for free now. The link is in the show notes, and stay strong.